we're going to start working on the side intake. So we're going to go ahead and get a better view of this. We can press 3 on the number pad and we'll take a look at our reference images here. So I just press tab, I'm going to press Alt H to unhide everything, then press A to deselect, and Z for wireframe. So what we have here is they both seem to be ending at the same point, at least on this reference image. But again, unfortunately that reference is not correct, so you have this line ending about where it ends in the reference image. This is approximately correct, but the bottom line actually continues on past where this line ends, and it actually ends about where the side mirror is, a little bit before the side mirror if anything, but it ends closer to the side mirror than this top one does. So we can't rely on this reference because it's not correct. This actually should be extended out until about here. So to do that, we're going to add another edge loop here. We're just going to do Control R, left click, right click. This is approximately where we want it to end, but I'm probably just going to pull it a little more to the left by pressing G twice and sliding it a little more to the left. And then we just want to make this a better shape, so we want to move these around by using G twice to give this a better shape here. And we also want to make sure that we're following this straight line here, so this needs to be moved down as well. So we want to do G twice and slide it down. So something like that's going to be okay. So this will be that ending point, and this will be this ending point for the top one. Another thing we want to do is take all these points and line them up with the top line instead of the bottom line, because that top line would be where this crease is, and then the one below it perhaps would be like this other one. So we just want to start with all of these at the top line, so we're going to select them one at a time, press G, and line them up with that top line. Another thing we're going to need is these lines extend out, but they don't extend all the way to the wheel arch, so we need them to end before the wheel arch. And in order to do that, we're going to need another loop cut here. So we're going to do Control R, left click, right click. And based on these reference images, you can kind of see where it extends to on both of them. So you want to try to match that. Like I think perhaps this can be moved over a little. So just use G twice and move it over a little. And I'm just going to do the same here. Slide all these over just a little until we have something more like this. So that's going to be good. Now what we're going to need is some lines to create these triangles at the end and to support these creases on the top and the crease on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edge Select, and we're going to select these edges here, and we're going to press Subdivide. Then we're going to Alt right click on this newly created edge, press Q, and slide it up something like that's going to be good. Then we're going to go to Vertex Select, select this vertex, Shift select this one, press J to join them, and do the same on the back. And I'm actually just going to correct the curvature here of this line. And we want one more set of edges here, so we're going to do the same. Select these three, subdivide, alt right click, press Q, and then do the joining process again. So this first edge we created is going to support this top edge to create that crease, and this next edge is going to help us create this part that gets pulled in closer to the car right here. So we did that on the top. We're going to need something similar on the bottom. So we want to select these edges here, because remember it's going to continue on to this point, not this point. And you're going to do subdivide, left click, or alt right click I mean, and then Q to slide this down, and then join them to the left side and the right side. Now you want to do it again, so we're going to select these again, do subdivide, alt right click, press Q to slide this down, and then join them to the left and right side. So you're going to take a quick look. Okay, so this one here I actually had continuing on till there, so we're going to select this edge and edge selection, subdivide, go back to vertex, select G twice to slide it down, and then we're just going to connect this and connect this with J, and then we're going to remove this edge in edge selection by pressing delete and dissolve edges, so that will get rid of that edge. So we didn't really change anything too much yet, so you can't really see much difference. But now we're going to take these vertices here. So these vertices here, and we're going to start pulling them in a little. So this is going to be, this first part that gets pulled in slightly. So it's this piece right here that gets pulled in just a little bit, and it's a little bit above and a little bit below where the crease is from the top and the bottom. So you just want to keep that in mind, pull it in slightly, and this probably could move down some, which means the rest of these probably need to move down a little. We can just do vertex slide on these two. And bring this one down as well. So now what we need is that hole. And I want to correct the shape of this before I do that hole, just to make it straighter. To make that hole, we're just going to go to edge select, and we're going to select these edges, and we're going to do subdivide, and then alt right click, press Q, slide these over. You can actually bring it pretty close, and then go to vertex select, join the bottom and join the top. Because from side view you really can't see the hole, like there's a very small amount that's actually visible. So that's why we just kept these really close, because you really can't see the hole from the side. So now we're going to select these. We got 5 vertices, and we're going to drag them in. This will be the inner part of the hole. And we can actually delete these faces So just go to face select, select them, press delete, choose faces. And you just want to try to match the hole to the hole here, so it probably needs to be moved in a bit further from what I can see. So we're just gonna bring this in a little bit further, like that maybe. That's probably a little better. And another thing we can do is take these other vertices here and move them in further as well. So I'm just moving 5 at a time, like these 5 ones that are here, because these others are at the top and bottom to support that crease line, and we don't want to move those. So we're going to bring this in some as well. And just adjust it as you see necessary until you have something that looks okay like this. We are getting some shading issues, like on the bottom, a little bit on the top. So to correct that, what we can do is go to edge select and select these edges. Press subdivide, alt right click, Q to slide it down. And then join it at the end again, so that'll make a nicer crease line here, and it gets rid of that bad shading that we had. And now what we want to do is add some depth to this part right here, because you can see in the picture that this has a bit of depth here. So to add that in, we're just going to select the vertices that we want to give depth to, so these 5. Press E to extrude, right click to cancel, and bring it in approximately how far you think it should be based on this reference. And now what we want to do is connect these vertices to the rest of this mesh. So we're going to do Control R to add in a loop cut, left click and drag it down so that it roughly matches up where this would be. Then we want to go to edge select, select this edge, do subdivide to create a point here. Vertex select, select this point, G twice to slide it over. You want to slide it over till it's basically where this other point is. You can press period to focus in on this point, zoom in, and then continue using G twice to slide it until you're happy. Then select this top point, shift select the bottom one, alt M at last, and then shift select this one, press J to join to finish off that edge. So now this part's physically connected to the rest of it. When we added in a loop cut, we did create this part here which doesn't continue on, so we just want to select this one vertex that doesn't continue on, and then shift select this one and press J to finish that off. One thing you can do here, if this doesn't look as good as you want it, is you can just start moving some of these points individually and trying to get a nicer look in this area if you want. We corrected the bottom, but we need to correct the top, so we're going to go to the top here, go to edge select, get this edge, do subdivide, vertex select, get this vertex, G twice, again match it up just about where it is. You can use period to focus in, period on your number pad of course. And then what you want is to select this one that's not connected yet, shift select the one that is, Alt M at last. And then with this point selected, we're going to shift select this one and J to join. So now we have this. We can see now we have a shading problem here. Doesn't look the best. So to correct that, we're going to go to edge select and start selecting the edges that are in the area that has a problem. Do subdivide, Alt right click, Q and then E to enable the even setting, and just bring this relatively close. Then go to vertex select and join on the bottom as well as join on the top. So that problem is relatively solved. We do have some bad shading here. To correct that, go to edge select, get these edges, these three, do subdivide, and we're going to actually join this one up here. So select this one, shift select this one, J to join. So that changed the direction of the shading, and you can use this point by pressing G twice to further adjust the shading as you see necessary, so it gives you this little effect rather than what you had before. And you can adjust it up and down to get the shading to meet up with whatever you think looks nice. This looks pretty good, I suppose, for now, but you can adjust it to your liking. To finish this off, we're just going to make a couple more changes. Like, we can see that the shading down here is not correct. So to fix that, we're going to press tab to go into edit mode, switch to edge selection, and select these edges here and this edge as well, and do subdivide, Alt right click, Q to slide, bring it up close, and then join the front and back vertices as we've done before. That will help correct the shading down there. We can also bring these vertices down a little to try to get this curve to be a little straighter. So that looks okay. One of the important things I wanted to do is make sure that this inner part is pulled up significantly, so we have this as well as this curve. We want to make this curve, and we want to do something similar on the top. So to do that, we're just going to take these two and pull them up until we get a similar angle like this. And we can also pull these up as well to match a bit better. So that it curves like this. That looks pretty good. Another thing I did was I just continued this loop all the way around, and to do that we're just going to do Control R, left click, and then drag it in probably this far, then we'll drag it in the rest of the way after. And let's select this one and J to join, and then Alt right click on this and delete dissolve edges. and then select this, delete, dissolve edges. So now we can alt right click on this, deselect these two, and Q to slide it closer. And I wanted to join it at this point, so I'm going to select this one, shift select this one, alt M at last, and then alt right click on this, delete, dissolve edges. So that will give us that. And we also want to move these top vertices down, so we're going to take these two and bring them down. And we can take these down as well, bring all these down. And you can adjust them in the X direction as well, according to what you see or how you see fit. So you have something more like this. And you can even give it this curvature outward, like from the top down to the bottom it kind of curves outward. So you can give it that if you want, like you can bring it out. Just make sure you're moving both of the vertices at the same time. Like each point has two vertices here, so just make sure you're moving both of them. So now it has more of that curved shape. Looks a bit more accurate. And since we move these down, we can actually just G twice and slide some of these down as well to match up the geometry a bit better. And we also see we have this shading issue down here. And to fix that, we can just go to edge select and get these edges, subdivide, alt right click, Q to slide, and then join this point to this point by pressing J, and that will help to correct that shading issue here. We kind of have an issue here where this isn't pulled in all that far and then this one kind of is. So I'm going to take these two vertices, I'm actually going to pull them down a little and then in a bit more to better match the curvature that we should have. And you can even bring these back slightly as well to give a better shape down here. I think that looks okay to me. So now what we want to do is add in that curvature in this area. So to do that, we're going to need some more loop cuts down here. So we're going to do Control R and then mouse wheel up to get two loops, then left click, right click. And we can take these points at the end and just bring them up to get the curvature that we're looking for. Just try to match it to the reference that you have. And I think even these need to be moved up probably a bit higher. So that we have something more like this. That looks fairly accurate. We still need to join these points here because when we added in these loops, they didn't go all the way over, so we just want to select one at a time and join it to this point here, just as we've done quite a few times now, so that's complete. And we can do the same on the top. Do Control R, add in 2 loops, left click, right click, and I'm going to select this vertex and then press period to focus in. Switch to edge selection, select this edge, do subdivide, change the number of cuts to 2, switch to vertex select, select this vertex, shift select this one, J to join, do the same here. Now we're going to take these newly created vertices and just press G twice to slide them closer to this bottom vertex. And do the same with these vertices. So we have this. If you take a closer look, you can see that the geometry we have is pretty messed up. So what we have to do is we're going to move this over and move this over on the y-axis as well as down. And we're going to do the same with these two. Until it's more like that. And then we're going to move these closer, so we're going to press G twice and move them closer to the bottom vertex. Until we have this. Then we're going to select all 3 on the top and we're just going to pull them down to about there, and we're going to do the same here, pull these down a little just so we get that little bit of curvature. You can pull them down a little more on this one so you get that curvature here. So that looks a little better. What we want to do now is we want to fix this curve here, because if we go to side view by pressing 3, you can see it kind of curves out like this, but on the real car it doesn't do that. You really can't see much of this side curve, if any, from side view. So what we need to do in this case is we need to take these vertices, and I'm just going to press Z for wireframe. We need to pull them in and just continue doing that. You can move them 2 at a time. I would suggest doing 2 at a time. Just move this curve in until it's hiding behind this other line. And we should probably do the same for these 2 vertices to get them further in, and we can move these back as well so that we can continue a similar curvature throughout the entire thing here. We could move these others back. We probably should try to move these back as well. Just so that all of this is somewhat lined up here. I think that should probably be okay, but actually I'm going to move these forward some because it doesn't look, curvature from that angle didn't look the best. So now from side view you can see you can't really see any of it. I think in the real thing you can kind of see a little bit of it, but this is pretty much the way it is, so this is pretty good. We're just going to save it by going to File and Save.